You seen this? This is some late night content right here. If you're just bored, looking for something to watch, build an NBA contender with our roster shuffling machine. Challenge accepted, and it was interesting. So here's what I did, just for fun, for giggles, as it were. Took Rudy Gobert, dissatisfied with his role in the Jazz, and Donovan Mitchell, who, was having a hard time, and rumors are circulating about whether he's going to stay, and I broke him up. I sent Rudy to Miami, who are more than happy to oblige because they've got enough mid-range shooters as it is, and I sent Bam to Utah. Picks, notwithstanding, picks one way or another, but probably going to Miami, like a late first or something to compensate for the difference, because Rudy's technically more valuable. But Bam's great. They take on. Oh, I guess Gabe Vincent's enough. Gabe Vincent's actually interesting. He just dropped 23 tonight, can shoot, can pass a little bit. So Jazz get a guy who can shoot the 10 to 16 footer, and Heat get the ultimate defensive stopwatch. Now, this seems about right. Not maybe value-wise, but fit-wise, it's much better. And so initially when I did this, the Heat's championship odds went up to like 26%. But they're back down to 15% because I clicked the simulate full season button. So this is kind of my click 2K entry here. I'm doing simulations too. I'm getting assets that I'm flipping them. I'm just not doing it on the video game. So I sent Bam for Rudy, Ben for Jamal. I was like, who are two guys who are currently not providing any value to their team? Oh yeah, Ben Simmons and Jamal Murray. So Jamal's a Sixer and Ben is a Nugget. It makes all the sense in the world. Ben needs a stretch five. Jamal needs to be healthy, obviously, but Jamal can create off the dribble and create his own shot and shoot. And Joel needs that, like, badly, really, really badly. Dallas, I got tired of seeing Luka and Kristaps getting in each other's way. Kristaps is a shooter who doesn't really shoot all that much. He's more of a really good defensive player if you let him focus on that end, who can also, make a shot or two. Like, you don't want him actually with the ball in his hands or dribbling or anything like that, but, Luka's relying on him to be an actual second option, and he's not that. You don't want him creating his own shot. So I got him Clint Capella instead, who is not like the actual defensive solution for the Mavs, but he is a roll man. He's a heck of a roll man. You want him rebounding just in the paint, simplify his role, and then get some wing scorers around Luka like Kelly Oubre and Onyeka Okongwu, I guess. And the price was Christie and Maxi Kleber, who ended up, I believe, on the Hornets. More to come there. Couldn't figure out who else needed to go there. Figured out something that made all the sense in the world. You can see it now. Terry Rozier for Marcus Smart. Come on, guys. Like, I'm thinking Terry needs to go back to Boston to be that point guard leader. You don't need him handling the ball all the time, but Terry's evolution makes it so that you can give up a guy like Marcus Smart for him. You don't need... Marcus's voice is getting a little loud in the locker room. He doesn't contribute anything offensively. He's a huge deficit on that end. Celtics need to be able to take advantage of things, and if you have Rozier, Brown, and Tatum on the floor at the same time, you can't stop that perimeter trio. The Celtics offense will finally catch up with what their defensive potential can be. And the Hornets finally have a guy... Wait, where'd the Smart end up? Hornets finally have a guy who can defend. They're the only playoff team that suffered the most. Every single one of these teams, according to 538, went up in playoff odds. I have to say that's kind of remarkable. I flattened the playoff and championship odds so well that no one's a clear favorite, not even the Bucks. I'll show you in a second. Then the Lakers. We had to fix the Lakers. We couldn't let these guys at the end of their... LeBron and Melo, we can't let all these guys suffer in obscurity. So I sent Russ away. I'm sorry, Russ. You had to go. I sent you to the Pacers. Where are the Pacers? I sent you to the Pacers for Malcolm Brogdon, TJ, and the, whatever contracts of TJ Warren, Jeremy Lamb, and TJ McConnell. So Bron gets the playmaker he's always whining about. Warren becomes sort of the answer to, not being Taylor Horton-Tucker. And Brogdon is really the ideal Bron point guard. You want someone like that who can handle a little bit, create his own shot, and also make a shot. Brogdon's that veteran leadership they're searching for. Not the best shooter in the world, but when you got LeBron and AD, you don't need one. Brogdon takes a very clear backseat while also being a very talented one-way player. And Russ goes to the Pacers because you're playing the defense. Russ needs a stretch five. You're playing the possession game with that. And if you have Miles Turner ready to knock one down on the outside, Russ can go to the hole as much as he wants. That's what he needed in Houston. He finally gets that in Indiana. Hopefully the defense and a guy like Domantas Sabonis making plays for Russ and vice versa will help revitalize everyone in Indiana. If nothing else, they get some star power. And there's only 2 years left on Russ's contract, so it's not a huge deal. And then the final big thing was CJ for Pascal Siakam. Portland needed a shakeup, so they actually moved Norm up to the 2. They got Covington at the 3. He's a wing defender. Like, he's not, he doesn't really, you don't want him in the paint at any time, really. And if he's in the paint, he's not guarding the perimeter. So you don't want him, sort of trying to service both areas of the floor at the same time. So Siakam finally becomes like the talented wing forward that most forwards can't guard, while objectively being the second guy instead of having to compete with Fred VanVleet or be the number one option. Pascal becomes the clear number 2 to Dame. CJ ends up in Toronto, and it just becomes the shooting fest. Toronto attempts to emulate Houston with Eric Gordon and Harden, and they do so with Fred, CJ, and they unleash Scotty Barnes' full potential and give OG a break. And just the floor opens up huge, and Toronto makes a stab on it. It's kind of Kyle and DeMar, but not really. It's more like shooting, and more shooting with Scotty Barnes, sort of just showing that he's ready to just assume that starting role full time. So here are the results of my tinkering. Initially, when you open this website, the playoff odds are Bucks, Suns, and Jazz are sort of the title contenders, as you can see, the only 3. Blazers are sort of in the back seat. Lakers are less than 40% chance to make the playoffs. Knicks, all the usual tanking teams, kind of garbage. And you have this giant cluster in the middle of people who don't know what to do with their lives and their teams. And so Bucks and Suns clearly ahead out here, and Jazz 11%. So what I did was, now you'll see that the odds look more like Jazz championship odds have gone down, but they're going to make the playoffs. They weren't going to sustain that anyway, so Jazz are still in a good spot. Hopefully they've cut some cap. I don't know, but everybody else goes up here. Utah was in here, right? Yeah, Jazz objectively go down, but you can't really have Rudy in the playoffs deep anyway. He's not making your team better for all the salary that you're committing to him, so it's an improvement net. I don't care what 538 says on that. Blazers go up to 52% and are now in this middle group, finally. There are now 5 teams with a real chance to win the championship. Denver and Philly finally get up here because I finally gave Philly a player that they could build around, assuming he comes back next season, that is. And this is obviously after simulating a full season. Suns stay the same. I didn't do anything to them. Bucks stay the same. I didn't do anything to them. Heat are they were kind of ridiculous, but now they're sort of the leading contenders with Rudy, and I think that deal is honestly very reasonable, realistic. Nuggets and Sixers both have a 10% chance. There are the Mavericks went up from 3% to 6% championship odds. Nuggets went up to 10% from 6%. Heat are at 15%. Nets are at 8%, down from... No, they're up from 6% to 8%, and I didn't do anything to the Nets. Sixers are up to 10% from 7%. And the Jazz are down to 4%. The only people who really suffer here are the Jazz and the Hornets. And I fervently believe they need a shakeup. Celtics go up to 4%. No, they stay at 4%, but their floor is up. They have an 85% chance of making the playoffs as opposed to 70 as the roster stands now. And the Bulls stay the same. I didn't do anything to the Bulls. Oh, the Bulls go down a bit. Just the competition. I didn't do anything to the Bulls. The Hawks go up to a 2% chance of winning the championship as opposed to their 1%. So the Mavs and Hawks are better. The Celtics are better. The Hornets are worse, but they're record is still 38-44, as opposed to now it's 44-38. It's kind of a coin toss. And they're getting ready to have to pay Oubre again. They don't know what they're going to do there. And Rozier is probably going to want more money. And I don't know if they're going to want to do it. They need like an actual rotation now, not just a bunch of guys who can play offense. So I see that happening. Michael Jordan maybe being like, let's shake things up. Even though this is good, I want to try and move ahead with this. LaMelo Smart would be kind of terrifying, wouldn't it? Like, not because Smart, like, just on defense, but just overall, Miami. And yeah, that's about it. I didn't change the Warriors, the Grizzlies. Left the Cavaliers alone. Lakers got objectively better. Finally, we want to see it. Blazers got objectively better. We want to see it. And yeah, the whole field just sort of flattened. The championship odds just flattened all the way around. Everybody got a little better. We have more championship contenders. Jazz kind of fell out, but it's not like they're bad or anything. And yeah, Wolves are still in the mix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 14, 19 teams with actual playoff aspirations, as opposed to in the real world, 18. But a much broader championship picture, and I'm proud of the fixes that we did. So, whatever, just messing around.